You are now listening to Toni On One Radio, the talk show podcast station, bringing you Toni On One Podcast with open discussions, hot topics, as well as information, daily health, as well as your news report. All information and resources are based on the opinions of the host, unless otherwise noted. This podcast may contain some quotations, images, and or excerpts from copyrighted material. These uses fall well within the copyright doctrine of fair use. All information is intended to motivate, encourage, and inspire positive change and a healthier lifestyle. Welcome to Toni On One Podcast. Hi, and welcome to my day ones and my new listeners. Today we will be covering, for our daily health, easy, healthy eating tips, as well as in the headlines, Salvation Army's lawsuits. And for BS of the day, well, you got to listen and find that one out. Who is on the BS of the day? So, welcome. Enjoy. This is Daily Health. Do we really look at our plate when it comes to eating? Have you actually looked at your empty plate right before you put your food on, or do you just grab it and go for gold? Well, that's one of the things I was thinking about in my own dietary journey, right? So I was like, you know what? Let me bring this to everybody. What we put on our plate, it really does matter. It matters. So I wanted to give you guys a few tips to kind of help you along on your dietary journey, whatever it may be. There's often dietary guidelines out there, and there's so many saying so many different things, but I think these tips right here will definitely help. So take action. Make a change. There are three main areas when it comes to choosing what you put on your plate and how much. Now, the main thing would be balancing calories. You can enjoy your food just a little bit less. Kind of avoid those oversized portions. Although that steak may look good, can we break it down a little bit and get a smaller, Avoid oversized portions. That's how we kind of trap ourselves right there. It looks so good. My grandmother used to say, looks like your eyes overran your gut. It looked like I wanted to eat all that because it looked so good, but in actuality, I really couldn't eat all that. My body kind of decided, and I just couldn't eat anymore. But I was already over that limit. It's avoiding that oversized portion that can help the most. And you wonder, well, okay, fine. But how do I kind of arrange my plate? What should I add and what should I take away? If you listen to your body will definitely let you know. We just have to listen to it. So the foods to increase is basically make your plate with half, and this is half your plate, of fruits and vegetables. And then that other portion, you can put that meat right there that you want there if you eat meat. Make at least half your grains whole grains, and switch to fat-free or low-fat, which is 1% milk. So what do we take away? What do we reduce? Well, if we're looking through like all the sodium foods that we all love, like soup and frozen meals and bread, it's basically choosing the foods with lower numbers. So it's somewhat of a numbers game when you go to the market or the grocery store. Particularly Walmart, because that's where a lot of us go. Walmart. Y'all tell me what your favorite grocery store is. once you kind of go through and run and play that numbers game, and kind of make it fun for yourself when you're in the grocery store, especially with your kids. Definitely include your kids. If you have kids, include them. Drink water instead of sugary drinks. Now, I won't say just eliminate all sugary drinks, because you got to come down. You got to gradually make the change instead of doing a shock. If you can just go cold turkey, no sodas, do that. That's great. But everybody else, like me, I had to kind of, wean myself, so to speak. So choosing what's on your plate is very, very important. What you put on your plate and how much you put on your plate really matters. It matters to your body and your health and your well-being. And a lot of stuff we eat does affect the mind as well. Behavior as well, like other things. You can do your own research on those matters, and I'm sure you can find a rabbit hole of so much information. But to bottom line it, balancing calories, foods to increase, and foods to reduce. Those things will help you choose your plate, or what you put on it, or what you don't put on it, wisely. You have been listening to Daily Health News Report. Current events, issues, and the headlines. In the news, we have the Salvation Army. Now, you guys know, or maybe you don't, depending on where you live and the areas you shop in, there's plenty of Salvation Army thrift stores, right? I don't know about you all, but I absolutely love thrift store shopping. You find a lot of great gems there. So, yes, I have actually, in fact, shopped at the Salvation Army thrift store. Very proud of it. Save a lot of money going there. But they're in the news. So what could they possibly be in the news for? Well, there are lawsuits flying. 3, to be exact. Now, we never know what's going to happen later in other areas, but this dealing with the Salvation Army lawsuit is New York, Georgia, and Illinois. And it makes you wonder, how many other of these stores doing what it takes to get these lawsuits? Well, it's dealing with the ARC, which is the Adult Rehabilitation Center. Now, Salvation is known for different programs and things that they do to help people. So it's kind of surprising that they're out there in the headlines, but they are. It is what it is, right? So, they have like 120 centers where they actually have, people working. But this lawsuit is over USA wage laws. Companies will do things to try to keep things very cheap. They try to save money. And they did this by paying under the $7.25 an hour federal minimum wage. So there's no overtime. $7.25. Who is capable of living off that these days? Like, I don't know. Can you do it? Are you doing it? If you're doing it, let me know how you're doing it. And for everyone else, it's like, what in the hay is going on? Now, the Illinois and New York companies also have alleged Salvation Army violated state wage laws. Like, these people are working to try to, be independent, right? Or you go to sign up for these programs because you want that self-sufficiency, but you need help along the way. Like, it makes sense. But when we have companies like this is a problem. But instead of getting support on their journey and or recovery, Participants are forced to do grueling manual labor. Like, you can't really do much when it's like that. These people are required to work 40 hours a week, give up food stamps to the Salvation Army. And if you get hurt and you can't work, because you've got injured, you're kicked out of the program. And you can't work anywhere else. So by that definition, you are an employee per the program requirement. But just getting treated as less. How is this? Like, seriously, how is this happening? You're giving up your governmental assistance to this company. You're living in basically meager, to be nice about it. I mean, they're being alleged that some people got paid $1 a week. You think of a sweatshop when you hear something like that, right? Or is that just me? Tell me if I'm wrong. That's like, what, around $25 a week if you're, or for the month, or however they're doing it? Like, you do the math. But you're getting paid under minimum wage. You're sleeping in a dorm. You're wearing donated clothes while eating donated food. Minimum wage, not even close, and overtime laws. Now, the interesting part is that by last annual report says y'all got the bag, though. Salvation Army got the bags. 424 million, bag alert. This is going against self-sufficiency. The people who are in this program. This program is supposed to help. Am I the only one who has that understanding? So these lawsuits are sounding very bad against the Salvation Army. Like, you cannot treat people like that. That sounds like some undercover cult shit, if you ask me. But that's just my opinion. ARC workers who complete the program often leave the ARC penniless, jobless, and not able to survive. That's an insult to the community. That's an insult to everybody who believes in the Salvation Army. And it's a Christian organization. Make your mind up on that part. But they've been operating work-focused rehabilitation program for more than a century. Now, that is according to its website. Now, the program have been the subject of lawsuits since at least 1990. Now, that's when the U.S. Department of Labor had to say something. Hey, pay minimum wage to its beneficiaries. Why did the U.S. Department of Labor have to say that to you? If you're a legit Christian-based organization, that should raise eyebrows. Those lawsuits have been mounting, and now we're in 2022, and there are more lawsuits. Something needs to be done. The government needs to send a message on that. Seriously. Because these are lawsuits that are filed in Georgia, Illinois, New York. Like, come on. So how many Salvation Armies operating like that? Because there are so many of these Salvation Army places. They may have to do a sweep to make sure this is not happening in the ones around the United States. But that's not right. Because, out of 120 centers, that's thousands of people who go through this program. Working 40 hours a week, giving up their food stamps, and whatever governmental assistance they get goes to the Salvation Army. That is really seriously going against self-sufficiency. You guys tell me what you think about this. This has been your news report. The current events, issues, and headlines.
Who the hell? What the hell? That's some bullshit. You big dummy. Bullshit of the day.
Your BS of the day is Jessie Smollett. His felony probation. And the whole staging a hate crime. Not sure what the hell was on his mind, or what he thought he was going to accomplish, or what he was told. I don't know what the hell was going on in that man's head, but yeah, bruh, you did it to yourself. I have a little bit of the audio here to play for you at his sentencing. This is from NBC Channel 5 Chicago. So here we go.
And I am innocent. I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
You're convicted of a Class 4 felony. It's presumptively probationable, but we have some real serious aggravating factors here. Your premeditation, which I've described. The pain you've caused to real victims of hate crimes, which I've described. The damage you've done to the city of Chicago, I've heard. It's been talked about. I'm mindful of the city's request for restitution, and if I'm going to fashion that, consider that request, I have to fashion the sentence accordingly. And above all, the capper of all cappers, your performance on the witness stand. This could only be described as pure perjury. You got on the witness stand, you didn't have to, you did, you certainly have a right to, but you committed hour upon hour upon hour of pure perjury. And I find all those to be ample factors. If this court were to decide that the things you did, that any kind of probationary sentence would deprecate the seriousness of the offense and you need to go to the penitentiary, the record is clear and it would support it. But I'm looking at everything in its totality. And I agree. It's told to me today, you can't judge everybody by one bad thing they've done in their life. I don't know if it's the only bad thing, but it's the only bad thing that I'm concerned about now. And that you do have quite a record of real community service and quite a record of attaching with people. There is a lot of mitigation in this case as well. And I'm mindful of the pleas of mercy, particularly from people that are in the arena of dealing with social justice issues, that are fighting, seriously fighting, not playing around, not doing games like you were doing, but seriously fighting for matters involving hate crimes of all sorts. And they're asking you for mercy as well. So I'm trying to consider who you are as a person, how you got here, how somehow you strayed away from your family values, you let that dark, narcissistic, selfish, and arrogant side come out, and you persisted with it for years on this case. I'm fashioning the following sentence, and here's your sentence. I'm sentencing you to 30 months felony probation, and the probation is going to be to this court. You're going to be allowed to travel wherever you want. You do not have to live in the state of Illinois. You can report by phone. I know that if you're going to try to make a living and do some of the things you do, you may have to go to other places, New York and Los Angeles. You can do those things. You will pay restitution to the city of Chicago in the amount of $120,106. You are fined $25,000, which is the maximum fine. And you will spend the first 150 days of your sentence in the Cook County Jail. And that will start today, right here, right now. Mr. Smollett, though the jury found you guilty and I'd sentence you as I have, you have the right to appeal the findings and rulings of the court. or ask your sentence be modified. To do those things, you need to file a notice of appeal in writing within 30 days. You may also file a motion to modify your sentence, which would have to be filed in writing within 30 days. Anything not stated in those filings are waived for purposes of appeal. You cannot afford lawyers or transcripts. They would be provided for your charge. Do you have any questions?
No, I would just like to say to Your Honor that I am not suicidal. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I am not suicidal.
Okay.
I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this. And I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself. And you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I am not suicidal.
Okay. Mr. Boucher, let me start. Are there any post-sentencing motions you care to present right now?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Ms. Will.
The defense would wish to present a motion to reconsider sentence
All right.
and file it in standard.
All right. It is timely filed.
Thank you, Judge.
And let me say, I've obviously considered the sentence at great length. And it's timely filed, so it's preserved for purposes of appeal. The motion to reconsider sentence is respectfully denied.
I am not suicidal.
Stop knocking up our flags.
I am not suicidal. And I am innocent. I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
Okay, so you all have heard that. Read into it, what you will, but think about it. Now, as the former Empire actor Jessie Smollett is scheduled to be sentenced, the letter from Samuel L. Jackson and his wife, LaTanya Richardson Jackson, asking for leniency when sentencing was read during the trial on Thursday. But let's be honest here. Let's be brutally honest, because that's where the results come from. What possessed him to do this? Because this is some BS. And I'm sure you agree that this was a slap on the wrist. Lies always have a price. So does self-destruction. It's a slap on the wrist. But you do have to pay for those lies. They are not free. And as far as his being able to work after, he's definitely going to have to work to pay off that money. Because now they basically saying out the travel restrictions, yeah, you go on and go make that money because you got to pay. You got to pay us for your lies. You wasted valuable governmental agencies' time on so many different levels. All lies. Why? But you heard it. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
Who the hell? What the hell? That's some bullshit. You big dummy. Bullshit of the day.
Listener's voice. Listeners are encouraged and welcome to call in live at 318-315-3971. Phone calls may be monitored and recorded for quality, safety, and recording purposes. Your continued participation in that telephone call serves as express consent to be monitored or recorded. You can also send in your voice clips. You can inbox the radio station Facebook page as well as email TON, the number 1, RADIOSTATION @gmail.com. That's TON1 radio station @gmail.com. TON Radio, the talk show podcast station, where we're on one, and so are our listeners. You have been listening to Toni On One Podcast, brought to you by On One Radio, the talk show podcast station. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my talk show. I wish you the best, and don't allow anyone to fuck up your vibes. I've been your host, Toni Williams.